Apollo 11 was the name of an American space mission that took place on July 20th, 1969. The objective of this mission was to be the first nation to safely send astronauts to the moon and back.
Even though I realize that this is, in some measure, an act of faith and vision, for we do not now know what benefits await us. But if I were to say, my fellow citizens, that we shall send to the moon 240,000 miles away from the control station in Houston, a giant rocket more than 300 feet tall, the length of this football field, made of new metal alloys, some of which have not yet been invented, capable of standing heat and stresses several times more than have ever been experienced, fitted together with a precision better than the finest watch, carrying all the equipment needed for propulsion, guidance, control, communications, food, and survival, on an untried mission to an unknown celestial body, and then return it safely to Earth, re-entering the atmosphere at speeds of over 25,000 miles per hour, causing heat about half that on the temperature of the sun, almost as hot as it is here today, and do all this, and do it right, and do it first, before this decade is out, then we must be bold.
The whole mission was spread over about 8 years and included many years of working, accidents, and deaths. It took over 7,500 workers just to build and design the actual rocket. I interviewed Pat O'Neill, a worker for SAIC, which is a contractor to NASA. He has been working with them for over 10 years and was very inspired by Apollo 11.
Well, I didn't actually hear about it. I was watching it, and it was pretty amazing. I mean, you know, when you're a kid that age, I mean, I think I was 12. I probably around 6th grade when it happened, and you know, most people at the time were transitioning to color TVs, but you know, my family, we kind of stayed behind the times. We were in black and white, but I think everything that was coming down was in black and white. You know, the pictures were fuzzy, a little bit. You know, you get some pixelation and some jumps, but it was just unreal. You know, you see the flights. And, you know, you're watching the tracking on television and where they are and what they're doing. And it was just amazing that they'd actually landed. And, you know, I think I mentioned earlier that, you know, I used to go out at night and actually look at the moon and just think, my God, there's people walking around up there. I just thought that was the coolest thing.
During the time, there were other countries trying to be the first nation on the moon. The United States' biggest rival was Russia. However, they had been unsuccessful. The 3 astronauts that attempted this mission were Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins. They all had military and flying experience. On a clear 85-degree day at the Kennedy Space Center in Cape Canaveral, Florida, all items checked and rechecked by the crew and ground control, Apollo 11 was finally ready for takeoff.
Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence start. 6.
That's a very good question. It's a tough one, too. The United States in the 60s, when I was growing up, was kind of a mess. There was what they call the Cold War with Russia, which is basically spy versus spy kind of thing. You know, CIA and KGB kind of stuff. And then, you know, then there was Vietnam happening, which was brutal. You know, every night, it was different then. You know, it was the first televised war. So at night you would watch people in Vietnam, you know, getting shot, doing, you know, not actually getting shot, but I mean, just everything that was going on in Vietnam. Then you had the civil rights stuff going on. on. There were demonstrations about war, demonstrations about political theologies. There were demonstrations in Chicago, I remember specifically, at the Democratic Convention. It was actually, really chaotic, kind of violent.
When people saw the landing of the spacecraft on their TV, they felt they had escaped from how much the Cold War and the Vietnam War dominated the news in the world.
And the world waited. July 20th, 1969. It is said that 500 million people gathered in TV sets around the world to wait for the first Earthling to set foot on the moon. Countless millions more listened on the radio to the voice.
$355 million, which would be around $2.6 billion today, was spent to achieve the mission of man landing on the moon.
I'm going to step off the limit. That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Apollo 11 not only sent 3 astronauts to the moon, but it also brought all eyes of the world to focus on America achieving this unimaginable goal.
Welcome to the Space Jam. Here's your chance. Do your dance at the Space Jam. All right.